Thank you.
I'm Christopher Facundo, public member at large.
Oh. Nice to meet you. We got a member of the public, we got the press, we got our staff.
Oh, do you want to introduce yourself? Okay, go ahead with the person behind us. You are.
Did you want to say?
Can you tell us who you are?
Oh, Rose Shardwood.
Are you with a group?
No.
Okay. As an individual? You in the press? Which was?
Yeah, I'm Jovan Wagner with Montana Free Press.
I'm Roy Goldman. I'm the transportation system superintendent. Parking is one of the divisions that I have.
I'm David Konopke, the transportation systems director, acting as staff tonight. We pretty much just did the roll call.
Joan Seth Brandenberger is the BID board rep and he is not here, so it's just the four of us plus staff on the advisory committee.
Okay.
You say advisory committee, we say board, because it goes back and forth.
That's an advisory committee, is how it was passed.
So there's a total of 5 members.
And we have to add this for the-
So there are no minutes from a previous meeting, but that's, I have the agenda up on the screens there. So this is the city's standard agenda template. So call to order, roll call, minutes, and now we're at updates from the city staff. So
Do we need to have public comment first? If we do take action, even if the action is just bylaws and elections,
yeah, every item we typically do.
you do the public comment right before, not like a.
So,
public comment?
There's a couple committees that do the public comment right up front,
Okay,
and it's kind of more of a, and then you can stay and have public comment on all the other items. Usually it's at the end.
okay.
So,
Do you have a recommend, what was your plan for today, just before, if we vote on anything, just to do the public comment? Cool.
so updates from city staff, just where we are right now with parking. So as many of you know, parking currently has multiple zones downtown, and our new model that we had worked with the BID a few months ago and the commission is we're going to go to one zone, one rate. So regardless of where you are in the pay to park area, you can put money in the kiosk or put money on your app, and if you put in for 3 hours, you know, started say down at the north end of the downtown, and we're working your way south, and things took a little bit longer than you wanted to, you can automatically add time with your app or any of the kiosks, and you won't have to remember those because it's all going to be just one zone. So you can move your car from down by, say, the fire tower up by base camp, and your parking privileges will go with you. So we won't be changing zones or anything like that. That's going to be accomplished by on-street parking will stay virtually the same. There will be no difference in on-street. Surface lots the same. Parking garages are where you're going to see the big changes. There are going to be no gate arms. There's going to be kiosks just like you have on street. So you go into the parking garage, whether it's permit or just regular parking, you can park there if you have privileges. Privileges are paying for your parking, and it doesn't matter because you won't have to tell the meter that you're in a garage or on the surface because it's all one zone.
So same price.
Yep.
Okay.
Everything one price, one zone. Again, if you start in a parking garage, go someplace else. You have extra time on your that you have that time carries. The garages, we have strategically located kiosks. So on the exits, that's where you'll start seeing the big signs, don't forget to pay to park. And then you'll be able to pay to park at that kiosk or any other kiosk or your passport app. There is no specific thing you have to pay for to park in any specific garage or surface lot. It's all one area.
So I could park in the garage, walk by, let's say, Sushi's. If there's a kiosk there, I could use that kiosk and it would take care of me that route.
So there will be a buffer because we understand it's gonna take some time to walk from your car to get to the kiosk. But that buffer is not gonna be a forever buffer. We haven't set that up yet because we're changing softwares. So there'll be a little bit of a buffer there for you to enter your time. Okay, so garage, exit garage, kiosk, passport app, however you choose to do that. And then again, any kiosk, if you make it all the way down to the library, if you don't have the app, you can walk outside, hit the next kiosk and put more money in, and that'll extend your parking privileges wherever you're parked. So kind of like what you were saying in Sweden, a little bit different because we're not geolocating our zones. We decided to simplify it and just go to one zone.
And what about first hour 3 in garages?
Those are going away.
And so, and all pricing will be the same, so is there any motivator to encourage garage or surface lot parking?
The only motivator is what happens if you don't have parking privileges. So on street.
You mean just getting ticketed?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the back end is where we're adding the enforcement. And so on street surface lots and garage all have kind of different enforcement rates right now. They'll be the same. So because everybody wants to park in the garage, if you don't have your privileges there, then that'll be the highest parking. That'll be the highest ticket because it's the most sought after parking. Surface lots will be kind of the medium area, and then the on street will be the lowest.
So tickets will change based on where you get ticketed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to park for the same $1 an hour. But if you get a ticket, the tickets will be different anywhere you are. Okay.
And how is there I don't know if it's the right word to ask this, but was there a traffic study on that people want to use the garages more than on-street parking, or is that just based on past ticketing, or how did that decision get made?
That's just past experience and kind of local knowledge and pretty much preferences.
Okay.
So again, I want to reiterate that this plan isn't set in stone.
Great, that's what
We're
I'm saying here.
But we're not going to change it month to month to month.
Okay.
It'll be something that we'll have to go with it for a year to make sure that to see how it's working or a set period of time. Now, granted, if we find a flaw that has to be fixed, yes, we'll fix that. But I don't think you can't give any type of model a just go at it if you're just changing it, every few months. So.
And what was I'm sorry, I attended a few early meetings, but not all of them. What was the impetus to change to this model?
Working with the BID and hearing the comments from the meetings.
From them, okay.
We heard that it's too confusing, it's too complex, too many zones. That's where we decided, well, we'll just go one zone. That way it's easy. You plug the meter, you have parking, period. There's no, I have to step across the sidewalk and now I'm in a different zone.
And that BID feedback, that was several meetings that were this spring. Is that kind of the timeline? And I know this committee came out of that feedback too. So, sorry, just when did that start? Like February, April?
I'd have to go back and look.
And were there any public listening sessions about it, or was it just from the BID?
Yeah.
There was some too. Okay.
Yeah, there were public sessions, and then when we presented the plan to the commission was a public meeting.
Okay.
Several folks there listening in.
Okay.
We worked with the chamber.
So on the free parking, 1 hour free parking, that goes away. And how is that decided? And so I think that's, I don't, I guess who came up with that idea of taking away the free parking cost? Is that just you guys?
No, I mean, we were asked to come up with a proposal. We came up with one, we presented it to the DID and the chamber at meetings, and that's what they said, sounds like a great idea, and that's what was presented to the commission, so.
I'm a little concerned that a lot of decisions were made before, this committee commenced. I know, and I know you guys are working on it, and I'm not out to undo anything, but public comment periods are short. We have a member that wasn't even in the loop that we didn't know about. And we have the 3 hour parking. I'm concerned that is the lots that there are is what? The library lot, let's see, what, 8, 10, and so library, Old Burton Ernie's,
So not all the 1 hour free parking is going,
what's it just asked?
no,
Oh,
there's free parking, so the free parking is going away in the projects.
okay. So the lot across from the library will still remain 1 hour free.
Yep.
Okay, because that was not clear on this. It said that the garages and those 3 lots were going, that 1 hour free was going away.
No, our original plan was only the projects.
Okay, that's okay.
And
And-
some decisions had to be made because we have other things going on behind the scenes, like software updates and other things, so we had to figure out a way to move forward without having to wait, because we have some critical things that need to be replaced and updated, that we couldn't wait on. And you know, after having the discussion with the public comment sessions, I think there was 2 or 3 of those, and then meeting with the DID separately, and you were in those meetings, and then coming up with the plan and presenting to the commission, and everybody felt good about it. We had to move forward with it because it just takes too long to implement stuff to wait and move forward. And some of those things that was discussed with the previous BID director, the big thing for this committee was employee parking and rates and operations is input. But again, we have things going on that we have to move forward with.
Well, let me just look at, this is what was on the Be Heard. 6th Street Avenue, Getchell parking garages would transition to the kiosk system. Entry and exit arms would be removed. The 1st hour free parking would be removed from these 2 lots, as well as surface lots 4, 8, and 10.
Yeah, that was a misprint.
Okay, well, that's a big misprint. Well.
Okay, so you could still have 1st hour free in those surface lots that are
He was just
paid
saying
after.
Sorry.
I'm clarifying what he said was a misprint, so we are gonna have 1st hour free in
First
those-
hour free is only going away in the garages.
So yes, there will be 1st hour free in those surface lots, not the library, I'm talking the ones where you would have to pay for longer than an hour, where you still have to register to park it. Like off of Jackson.
The ones that the surface lots that have a pink sign
Yeah, that's
are staying.
Stay.
Okay.
The garages with the pink sign are going away.
So we need to make sure that this is corrected, because it's what people are making comments on. It was on the Be Heard, that will not be heard.
This is Christopher, just so I want to get in the use of introducing in case of the recording. So what is Be Heard? And second, I understood exactly what you said. I just want to know which parking garages.
6 and Getchell.
6, okay.
So along with this plan that we came up with, Jackson, which was 2/3 permit only, went to permit only at 100%, because there was such a waiting list for Jackson for permits, for people wanting to permit park there with a permit, and so little revenue coming in from people just parking there, that we decided that we would make that garage permanent.
I noticed that on my This is Christopher again. So over the Labor Day weekend, I actually walked the entire section of all of our parking and took pictures, and I did notice that, so thank you. And so I just wanted to make note that we may have to update the map as well. I'm sure that's in the works. I just wanted to note that.
This is David. There's been a lot of things that we haven't been able to keep up with because we've been focused on trying to get the new software on board. Just to give you a quick blurb because we're running a little short on time. Our old software that ran the gate arms of the garage was outdated. And to update the software was a pretty significant expense to not only update the software, but then the server needed to be updated. And this, and then this, and this, and this. And it ended up being, so we had to sit down and say, okay, what can we do to make this more efficient? And that's where the kiosk idea came from. So right now we're working with a software company to get the agreement signed and get them on board so that they can start transitioning over to our getting all our historical data transferred. But it will run permits and our ticketing and obviously we'll have, the passport mobile. The new software will be, you'll be able to pay for your permits, pay for your tickets, all online. So if you purchase permits, you purchase them through the app, and then you're the manager of those. So if you purchase 5 permits, then you manage them, and everything will be done by license plate. And that's how we'll do enforcement, is by license plate. So permits will be obviously purchased and then given parking rights by your license plate. But if you have 5 cars at home and you might drive all 5 of them at any one point, downtown, you can enter multiple plates for a permit. The caveat to that is if 2 of those vehicles end up being downtown, the first vehicle on that list that gets scanned has parking privileges. If the second vehicle that gets scanned, it doesn't, because it only has 1 permit, multiple plates. That vehicle would get a ticket. So multiple plates per permit, just 1 vehicle can be parked.
So this is Sandy. So if I buy 5 permits and I have 7 employees, can I put an employee and put it in there, and as long as those 2 probably can't, they would be working at the same time, or I guess we can move it around is what you're hearing say.
You can. It's just that if you put multiple employees on 1 permit, then there would be the risk of having 2 people parked at the same time.
I could bump someone, but you
Yeah.
can also say, in theory, I'm an employee, I buy 5 permits, and you were gonna say, okay, I have 3 cars, I'm gonna put my 3 license plates in there.
Let me ask our software companies about how the computer would. So I'm thinking here, if you put everybody's license plates on the 5 permits, and I'm gonna ask them how
So
the
you could do
computer
Different
would
ways, I guess,
process.
so there's 2 issues, there's the issue of, I bought 5 permits for my business, and I'm gonna manage them internally. And so it could be that I could say, this 1 permit, these people are gonna use that permit, because 1 works on Monday, 1 works on Wednesday, 1 works on Friday.
Yeah.
And then the other issue would be, I'm a person who has multiple cars, so I have that 1 permit and that so I guess the question I would say is, can 1 permit, doesn't matter if it's 2 people or 2 cars?
No.
So that's what we'd ask.
It's just both can't be there.
And that's a really good way to manage
Yeah,
the employee piece that we're working about.
and that's why
Part of sharing a permit.
and that's why we wanted to give the management to the person buying it, because your employees better.
Well, let me also go back when you said, is lot 8 Jackson? 'Cause I know lot 8 is Jackson. 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 'Cause I know lot 8 is Jack
No, lot 8 is
Is that not right?
library.
Or 4, what is 3?
Jackson Garage is 4 on the map, I think.
So,
They're designated garages or lots.
where's surface lot 4? Is at the top of Jackson?
It's either the top of Jackson or Ramberg.
Oh, yeah.
One
Yeah,
by
top of
Burton
Jack.
is 3.
Yeah.
No,
10, that's 10.
10.
One Hamburger is 10.
So
One
4
across
of the
from-
Jackson.
Okay, so then what you just said was, we took out the 1 hour free parking.
From the garages.
Right, but on the surface lot of 4,
It's a
right now it
surface
should,
lot.
right now though, it should say has a pink.
It's a surface lot, so it's not going
Okay, got it, okay.
So everything will be managed by license plate. And how we will enforce that is the parking vehicle that you see driving around now will be upgraded to have a camera on it. And as it drives, apparently you can drive 120 miles an hour with these cameras and it'll still catch the plates. I'm not sure why we had to go to 120 miles an hour to test them, but anyways, it'll scan the plates. If it finds somebody that doesn't have parking privileges, it'll give the PCO a ding, and the PCO either stop or block back around, and that's how the enforcement will go. Because we will have time parking with the computer system recognizes whether we have time parking versus pay to park versus permit parking. And so the vehicle will just be driving through and it'll be checking plates
Just so the parking structures or the surface.
everywhere.
lots, Even downtown, the meters? Or not meters, downtown.
At the pay to park, yes. Because everything on the kiosks downtown are license plate. You have to enter your license plate, so. That doesn't mean we won't have people out on foot either, but that's how that was the only way we could manage the garages. And to be fair with everybody with the permit parkers or with the because we'd be going through multiple times and asking our PCOs to do multiple times, per day through the garages, we'd be stretched thin, and we're trying to keep the budget as streamlined as possible. Okay. I think that's about the overview. We're working and we're hoping that by mid-October to late October, we'll have the new system in place, new software. That doesn't mean you may see the garages come online before the new software. They'll just be run with our old software.
This is Julia. So, will we, if it's mid to late October, this committee will have a chance to meet again? Will this committee have a chance to make any recommendations at that time, to review public comment, or how can this committee be involved in that final changeover? Can this committee be involved in that final change?
So the final changeover is moving forward.
I can get that that's in motion, yeah.
You can make recommendations or comments at any point.
Okay.
And that's when I get to the bylaws. So this committee makes recommendations to the commission.
Yep. And
then the commission tells us if they want us to investigate them, or what they want us to do with those comments. So, yes, you can make comments or recommendations on anything about parking that you would wish to make.
I think the consistent question is, if we know we can make comments, but will we have any input between now and when the system goes live?
Probably not with where we're at right now. I mean, the biggest thing that was with the system was going one zone, one rate, and simplifying the system and fixing the gate arm issues that we have with our garages. And once we get the other kiosks in place, we put 2 solars over in Getchell, and we have 1 hardwired one that we have to get hardwired, and then we have 2 hardwired ones at 6 that need to be done.
And did you have to buy new kiosks?
Nope. We just moved kiosks that were not being used as much. We just moved things around to try to minimize the costs. That was our whole goal, because we only have a little bit of budget to get this done, and fingers crossed, we've made it work.
And the office is now moving to this building, parking is gonna come into this building, not at the chamber.
And the reason that half of the employees are still there and half of them are not, the computer that runs our gate arms is at the chamber building. That is the one that, you know, we have bubble wrap around it, and we try not to breathe hard on it, because if that goes down, it's done. Because we didn't do the updates. It's once we unplug that computer, you know, that system is,
But you're transferring that information now.
well, that just runs the gate arms.
Oh, okay.
Our other softwares run, so, yeah, so we're hoping in the next probably 3 to 4 weeks, those other kiosks will get hardwired, and then we'll be able to test the system as it would be on the street. And if it works, then we remove the gate arms, remove the pay stations, and put up some new signs. Go on with our new one zone system.
Can I ask a couple questions?
We're gonna wait and we're gonna do a public comment period, so if you just wanna wait a sec,
Okay.
we'll finish up the city staff.
So we still have parking meters out there too, right? There's still parking meters at Food or Deal or
Parking meters or kiosks
parking meters before. They still exist out there, right?
for a time. They're gonna go like that.
But that's something this committee should know about and.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, some of those areas that we have parking meters, some, not all, are some of those areas that were discussed, you know, in the meetings previously about the employee parking. Like among others. And again, we'll have those discussions with you all on how that looks, or what that looks like. Ultimately, we'll have to do, you know, put pencil to paper and see how whatever method we come up with, how that impacts the budget. So,
Could I just, this is Joan, and I'm not sure this has anything to do with parking, but taking those arms off of the parking garages. I live right across the street from the actual parking structure, and when those arms are down, there is racing through the parking structures. You know, like they drag race through those parking structures and make a ton of noise, and I think it's very dangerous, so. And I know on the weekends they're down.
they're
And
up.
or up, I'm sorry. They're up, and then after 5 or 6, and that's when the racing takes place.
Well, we'll
So-
work with PD to try to eliminate that.
They think it's been going on for as long as the parking structure's been there, as long as I.
Well, unfortunately.
But I know that has
yeah.
something to do with parking. 'Cause it's the
Well,
common.
unfortunately, we just heard about the racing thing, within the last couple months.
Really? 'Cause
That was never brought to me as the director, the
Oh.
attention that we were having that issue, because otherwise we would have, at least tried some other remedies before we heard about it now.
Well, my neighbors, I've only lived there 4 years in that area, but my neighbors said they've been cleaning for years. So, but I look forward to seeing the remedy.
That's about the big broad overview. I can, you know, we can schedule maybe the next couple meetings for a little bit longer than an hour if everybody wants, so that we have enough time to go through some of these discussions, because I understand that, hearing the back end, just seeing it from your perspective is different than what, we have all the information in the car. And so these conversations may take a little bit longer just to, have all the question and answers.
So this is Christopher. In the interest of time, I don't want to interrupt you or anyone else so we'd like to get through to the bylaws section, if that's okay. I also want to just make a note to, just express myself real quick, is I know that we have a lot of interests and at hand, but as a structural functionalist, since we are internal now, we are part of the structure. I think it doesn't behoove us that we may want to listen to the administration as well, because we will have more information and access than a public or a traditional person off the street would. So I think it'll be a really good opportunity for us to listen deeply and intently to city staff, what their inputs are, and then just move ahead in the next few months to make really concerted and educated efforts to make a cohesive plan and not have knee-jerk reactions when it comes to, I understand the public frustration, but like the gentleman said, is the staff here has things in motion. We definitely don't want to impede that. We will have our opportunity to give that input in the future. So just because we won't be able to do it today, or maybe not even in October, we will have that opportunity in the future. So don't feel like it's one and gone, So think of yourself as part of this organization, not external trying to combat it. So that's the view I bring to the board, or I'm sorry, to this committee. So I just wanted to make that known. Thank you.
So to wrap up the staff update on this, we did do a structural assessment of all the garages. It's in draft form right now. Hopefully by October's meeting, we'll be able to present something that's a little bit more refined. They did a good job. I want a little bit more specificity in the assessment, so we'll be working with that. Is everybody good to move on to the next topic?
Yeah.
So regular item A would be to review, discuss, and approve the bylaws. We have 8 minutes left.
Public comment.
Oh yeah, sorry, public comment on the updates, ma'am.
I need a clarification on the library parking. I thought that was free. The one right next to the library.
It is free.
It is free.
It's a 2 hour, isn't it? 1 hour.
2 hours. I think
Yeah. And the comment was that the one across the street will still remain free for the first hour.
The other question I have is the Getchell Street lot, garage, I should say, has had free parking for patrons of the movie theater.
that's not going away.
Pardon me?
That's not going away.
So there'll still be free parking for
How
movie
is
theater.
that going to be managed through a kiosk?
You get it validated at the movie theater. So you would go in, and again, this is one of the pieces that we're still working out with our new software company. That you will basically get validated just like you would previously when you got your parking ticket or your parking stub. You'll get validated in a similar way. There might just be a kiosk in there where you enter your license plate after, maybe it's in the lobby there after you buy your tickets. So
Sandy, does Cinemark reimburse us for that?
partially, we're working on that too, because the agreement that was made was years and years and years ago. And I don't think there wasn't an escalator to account for, increased costs or whatever. So, I sent out a bunch of stuff, board officer duties, public meeting notices, they're just kind of informational. I sent you the resolution that created this board, and then the draft of the bylaws. And I guess I'll ask the committee itself if we want to start going through the bylaws, or if you would like to review them for the next meeting, and then we can have a really in-depth conversation. And maybe then we can get to the nomination of officers. At least the officers will be in place for the next meeting. And then we can also get to specifying time and date for the upcoming meetings.
This is Christopher. I'd like if we could approve or review and approve the bylaws at least today. And then maybe at the next meeting, hopefully we'll have our fifth person here that we could do our officer elections, I guess. Is that what we're trying to do?
Yeah, but
Okay.
I guess this is Sandy. I feel like we as a group, I'm assuming we're allowed to get together this meeting time and have a
No,
conversation?
no. We're
Okay.
gonna watch the
And-
training.
Yeah,
I didn't do it yet.
yeah.
So that's part of the bylaws, that you have to have your training done. So if you don't get your training done, and if there's less than the majority of the committee that doesn't have the meetings done or the training done, the meetings don't happen.
And I misread that. I read that I had like time that I could go and do it any time, and then got a second email that now makes it a Zoom meeting, but maybe
Well,
the other one.
There's the Zoom meeting, you can go and watch the YouTube video and take the quiz, or there's the one coming up in October that you can do.
So I can still do it on my own.
Yes,
Okay. So
Both-
I got
either
the
way.
impression I lost that
yeah,
opportunity.
either way, no. The YouTube one is sitting out there for forever.
And then we need to make sure Joan's stuff is right. She didn't get anything.
Yeah,
It was sent back in August.
I didn't get it.
Well,
Was it by mail or?
No, it was by email,
Cause I,
whichever email address you provided.
You might want to check your spam folder maybe.
Let's just show her what was sent out.
I checked it. I'm not sure I even have my letter.
Yeah, did you get a letter?
The
I guess it took a.
letter came to, Yeah,
I got a
It's
letter
on the
from the
top
mayor.
there. Is what came to me with everyone's address on it.
so this is Julia. I would say we could approve the bylaws next meeting, but I would actually like to just do the officers now so that we could know who's running the next meeting. So I wouldn't actually say in the opposite of you.
Okay,
But I can also approve the bylaws now too. I mean, since
just-
Joan hasn't looked at them, maybe we don't wanna
That's
approve them.
oh, okay. Yeah, I could do that too. I could wait. I guess my only question is, we have one member missing. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm kind of hung up on is I'd like to have, I don't know if he's interested, but
He is the chair of another board,
Okay.
so I bet he probably doesn't wanna be an officer.
okay.
Oh, I think he's on two, 'cause isn't he on TIF and BID?
Yeah,
Yeah, so not to speak for Seth,
Okay.
but knowing that he's an officer on a couple others.
Okay.
It might make sense to divide it.
Okay.
so. Parking committee, which direction will we go tonight?
Joan or Sandy, do you have a preference on voting on the bylaws or officers tonight?
I feel like I can't vote on bylaws. And I can vote for officers. That's what, although I don't want any. I know Sandy.
Sandy, I would vote that we get officers so we have an input, so we have a leader for this group. So if we don't have officers, I think we would get pushed down the road with another thing, and we then should look at the bylaws. And we'll sort of see.
I concur.
Okay.
This is Christopher.
Julie, what's your opinion?
Yeah, let's do officers.
Okay, so committee, I will review the item, regular item A, review, discuss, and approve the bylaws. Will be added to the next agenda for discussion, and possible approval. So I'll do that. So then we're on to nomination of election officers, chair, vice chair, and secretary.
This is Julia. I'm willing to be chair of this committee. Anybody else have any interest in the other two roles?
I'd like to, this is Christopher, vice chair, that's fine.
I
Just need secretary.
was the secretary's job, taking minutes.
Or
So-
working with staff on minutes? Let's look at the bylaws. As drafted,
Keeps action minutes.
So-
board secretary keeps action minutes of board meetings, ensures minutes are distributed to members, prepares agendas, notices of meetings, performs other duties described in these bylaws. The secretary must, after approval of the board, provide the agendas, meeting notices, and minutes to the assigned staff liaison. All materials will be posted and archived in accordance to commission public participation policies.
So we'll run the Zoom meeting. Basically, like we said, action minutes, so if there's a motion or if there's something talked about or you want memorialized in the minutes, short of the recording, that's what the meeting minutes would entail. The secretary would be probably the work with me or whoever the staff person would be, but closest, because you would work with the chair and vice chair, or the secretary would work with the chair or vice chair to get the agendas kind of up to, what we want to talk about the next time. Then, it comes to me to kind of for some review, because, if you only have an hour, we might have to pare something down, whatever. And then we would go on from there.
So it wasn't quite clear, would the secretary actually write the minutes, or you said staff would still write the minutes that get posted?
No, we will post the recording.
Okay,
If there's action minutes that need to be memorialized in actual written form, that would be the secretary's job. That can also be done. I know the clerk's office is using, it's not Google Translate, but it's something to that effect for action minutes. So it's
Thank you for
really,
coming.
really not really labor intensive, like the old minute taking a little bit. Just gonna get into the kind of, or, get to the process of how it's. Thanks, Sam. Sorry.
I'd be great talking to people, but I
No,
don't-
I'm just.
not my strength. I don't know what's your strength, John? Cesar
Last
said,
time, not a great secretary.
so that
Maybe,
leaves me or Seth.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
I
and
mean,
Seth, I think
maybe
is not.
next year I would consider it, but
I mean, if I had support from the chair or whatever, so that I knew what I was, email, I'm not sitting in front of a computer all day long. So it's not my strength to be on top of those kind of things. Do I want this committee to be successful? Yes. Do I have a problem going and talking to people? No. And I can work that, but if it's, making sure Robert's rules and all that, not so good.
So that would be my position to help guide the committee with bylaws and Robert's rules and all that good stuff.
Just so you know that you're not getting, what you're getting is, what I can do is get people together, get people to talk about things. Go talk and find out who needs to do what with whom.
The other thing
Yeah.
is this is typically talking points is always typically a standard thing. As we work through agendas, those points come up, or things that, come up while, so really the agenda could theoretically be, the next agenda could theoretically be complete by just going through our agenda, discussing what we want on the agenda at the end of the meeting, and just say that that's gonna be our agenda for the next.
Yeah.
And so then it wouldn't be as labor intensive as that.
Will you guide me? I'm gonna do it.
Thank you.
I'm just clarifying on a bunch of other things, so I'd rather
Right.
not be. on
No,
this
that's
one, too.
fine. I just so you know, it's not a strength.
Well, and I'll, myself or other staff will be there to also help.
We're all learning.
This is John, could I ask, are we changing the whole format of this committee from the past?
It hasn't really existed, I think.
It's never existed.
Oh, this is, oh, it's
Yeah,
new.
it's a new committee,
Ah,
There used to be a parking commission.
and this was a,
This is different.
this was a resolution that happened a long time ago, but the committee was never made.
oh.
It was approved, but it never existed.
So we're all new,
We're all new, we're all equal.
so my excuse is not the secretary. so.
There's only 5 of us, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How many officer positions? Three, okay.
Yeah.
Only have you done
I
that.
know, it's kind of,
It's like a little
Doesn't-
overkill.
at
on the-
the end, it doesn't really matter, because we're not, we're just advisory, so there's, our action items are less,
Well,
no
and
weight.
as you do your bylaws, there is the opportunity to, talk to the commission about, hey, we need a couple more representatives on there. The issue is, it's done by resolution, so the resolution will have to be revised if we added members or change the scope of the work for this committee. But I'll go deep, I'll take a deeper dive into the bylaws and all those nuances at the next meeting.
This is Sandy. I got confused looking at the bylaws. It's like we are, we're a committee, then it says board, then it says committee.
So board is synonymous with committee.
Okay. Just check it.
Yeah, good for the clarification. Yeah, thank you.
That's my first secretarial job.
So procedurally, we would need a motion
To adjourn.
to accept Julia as chair,
Oh,
Christopher
yeah,
as
sorry,
vice
yeah.
chair, and
I'm
Sandy
already.
as secretary.
So
So I guess I'll make that. motion,
Yes.
since I'm not
Thank you.
Any of those positions. Do I need to,
Yeah.
Say-
please go. Yeah.
this is Joan, I make a motion to elect Julie as the chair, Sandy as the secretary, and Seth as the
No, this is
vice.
Christopher,
Chris,
sorry.
I'm sorry. Christopher.
Is it Sandy?
Yes.
Then we have a second,
Second.
and then
All
the chair would be,
Okay, all those,
any
Oh.
further discussion? And then if there was none, then all in favor, say,
aye.
okay,
and then all opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0 in this case.
This is Christopher. If there's any other, do we have any other business at hand? If not, I would motion to,
We need to memorialize the next meeting time.
okay.
I have a
Yeah.
couple things I'd like on the agenda for next.
So let's start with the next item is on the agenda is meeting dates and times. I think I heard that Thursdays at 4 would work.
Second, what you missed, second Thursday instead of 4:30, we're thinking 4. What is second Thursday do for you? Is that right? Second Thursday.
Yes.
Does that work for you?
Yes.
Everything works for Seth, and just have to be on vacation.
And then for the next, we'll just say 2 meetings, an hour and a half, so we have plenty of time.
In this room,
I will
or
let
it
you know.
changes.
I have to find which room with less conflicts at that.
Sure.
so that would be October 10th.
Yes, correct.
Work well because it's early in the month, so November and December won't be affected by it at all.
And November 14th,
Number 12, November what?
or 14th.
December. And do we? Oh, you just said we'll meet here.
So
All right,
I will
email.
send out a email with the
Was that your right email?
That's where I sent out the last
Look
one.
in your
so
spam.
check-
I was just looking in here that, I did get the one about the training, but I didn't seem to get the one about the,
Maybe.
but maybe it's in my state.
That one was sent out
It would have been,
August.
it would have been this thing from David. Would have been that.
Right, yeah,
So-
I
So
didn't,
look for that date.
I started looking as soon as I got the letter from the mayor. and
August
I-
14th. It would have been sent out. to
Yeah, I
you.
looked and I didn't, oh, this is.
So maybe what we need to do, since we're a small group, maybe as a secretary, I can make sure that I can confirm that everybody got what was sent, provided I got sent it.
I'll look in my spam when I.
You know, just to double check so that things happen.
Okay, so upcoming
It's like
meeting
I'm
items.
I'm not getting my information.
Bylaws.
Yeah, I got bylaws already.
More time on your staff to update maybe in some of that history for us. Sorry, this is Julia. I would also like to see any public comment that was collected, if there is some. Or how we can access that.
I got. But we'll do it.
This is Sandy. I think we've covered what's right now, kind of like customers and people coming into downtown with the meters and that kind of stuff. That's one issue. But I'm an issue like, what about permit people? Are we, we need input from permit people, we need input from residential people to see if they have issues. So I guess the question is, how do we find some of the other population's issues? So we can go out to you brought up the thing about the Getchell garage. You had not heard about it. They thought the police had heard about it.
We reported it to the police.
Yeah, I'm just saying, so.
Yeah.
I don't think that's been addressed yet. So the question is, how do we address some of the other populations that parking affects?
That was supposed to be in the board make.
Right, it is, but I'm saying, so. I guess what does the committee have? I would like to know what parking does, and what are the rules for residential? What are the issues?
So I can give you an update on what those look like, all the permits and all the.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, as,
And then you guys can formulate questions or how you wanna approach that.
and there's also the budget, because then these meetings we've heard that, oh, we can't change that because it affects the budget. And so that's true, but I want to say, well, okay, so if we change, like, let's say permit parking, I mean, what's preventing someone to want to buy a permit versus an hourly? How do we manage some of that space? And we have empty permit parking up on Park and other places. We have resources that aren't being used. How do we talk about that and get that information?
Well, typically, that would be something that we could talk about, but typically in that situation, we'll bring in more experts in parking and how to better utilize the parking.
I think I'm saying this is just fact finding. So it's like you could, like what I know of your parking budget is 80% of it from permit parking.
We can give that information.
Well, that would be nice to have that information so that, if someone says, you're gonna lose 3 permits doing that, and there's only 10, that's, I guess we need something to be able to make decisions on. Based on, and maybe we don't need to make any recommendations. Or,
I mean, we can talk about all those finer details, but typically when these advisory boards, they're like policies. We don't get into that really fine minutia because that's more operations, but it's more of a policy decision. That's, like the employee parking, what does that look like?
right.
And proposing a policy for that to the commission, for the commission to say, yes, we want more information on that. And then we bring it to an admin meeting, we discuss it publicly. And if they want to have more public meetings, and we have that, and then we work through the process.
Okay.
It's-
So, go ahead. This is Joan. Representing the residential parking, there are issues of concern about that. And I'm just wondering if, like, on one of our agendas, if you could address what the rules are for residential parking, or, like, just put it on the agenda, maybe each of the different parking
Yeah,
areas.
what is the rule, and then
What
what
is
are
the
the
rule?
issues that we're
Right.
hearing about? It's kind of what I want to know.
So
Right.
this is Christopher. So we'd like, I guess, an information session.
Yeah.
That's what we would.
Education.
And then
Yeah.
that includes budget.
Yeah.
And so what we know is that there's a bunch of people that signed petitions about employee parking. So how do we reach out to them and find out what's happening? I don't know the steps. I mean, I guess I assume that this committee is going to have the ability to hear from people.
Well, I mean, you can, but ultimately it's a commission decision.
I agree with that.
So.
But
you
I
have
mean,
to-
if the commission came to me today and said, well, the employee parking, we don't need employee parking, I'm like, what do you think? I'm like, I can't tell you that.
But what we do here is we talk about a possible or potential employee parking model. And then say, whatever it is, and then you make that recommendation to the commission. The commission says, yes, that sounds like a great idea.
I get that.
Director-
I'm trying to figure out where I get my information. Okay.
Director Knopke, go out, we're gonna do a public campaign on getting information. And then we would bring that information back to this committee and back to the commission on what we found out. And we would be working with the commission and this committee to line out, questions to ask or whatever we're doing. People can come to this forum and make public comment on anything they want. It's just that what we have to realize is that decisions aren't gonna be made here,
But can we get together as a group and look at
not
information?
unless it's agendized.
So if I'm saying, then I want to make sure that we have,
Even sending an email to all 5 of you
Constitutes.
constitutes a meeting. So,
Watch the training, it'll make a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
I'm just trying to figure out where we can respond. I mean, my vision of the committee is that we have a responsibility to be the ears and the kind of an in-between to help people say to the commission, here's the recommendation, this is what we know and heard. And I'm just trying to figure out how do we get that information.
well, let us do the informational session.
That'll help a lot.
And then then we'll take that next step. And I'll have, maybe I'll have Danae come in from the clerk's office for the first few minutes, for the first part of our update. So she can give you kind of the overview of all that. I think, like Julia said, watching the training video
I'll get back on that.
will be helpful to understand how the committees fit in the city government. And, it's a little different than what I think people have an impression of. Maybe Julia can attest to that. I think sometimes folks think that you get on a committee or a board and they're gonna be making the decisions.
No,
And, we have to make the recommendation to the commission. It has to go through our process. Budgeting, I can tell you like I said, next time we'll have a
Okay.
presentation of
So
budgeting.
then I say, so my request for the agenda is for our informational meeting, or that our next meeting has informational stuff that involves who are the users, what is the budget for those users, income and expense, and what are the comments, the public comments.
I got the public
Okay.
comments.
So that's kind of what I would like, then we can make some other choices. And when we see that before the meeting,
What, the agenda?
yeah, then we'll hear that.
Some of the information we can provide prior to, but I mean, that packet would be pretty huge if I put all the
all of it.
information.
All of that public comment, or you mean the information? Okay,
All the information I'm gonna present to you is probably gonna be a very big packet.
yeah,
And so I guess what I would say is, let us present it to you
In October,
in October, and then you all can decide maybe what you want to, as attachments to the minutes to be put in out there on the public website. So like we have a flyer that has all the rates on it and everything. We can post that up or that.
Yeah.
Because it will be a lot of information, and
Yeah.
then if we say that's all we're gonna talk about, then that's all we can talk about. That's kind of the weird thing with agendas.
and will that be PDF? If you share that with us?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So is there a way you could send, did you guys get all this?
This
through,
was my own research.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What he sent, well, some of it he sent to us, yes.
Okay, so I should look for information from you around.
Yeah, look for David Knopke. At Helena MT, or it's D Knopke at helenamt.gov.
Okay,
It might have went to your spam folder. You might have just saw my name.
I don't think so, because I was
She
actually
doesn't know
looking,
you yet.
Sometimes
it didn't say anything about city or city county.
it
or
said
any-
parking advisory committee.
Right, so I would have seen that, 'cause I was looking, so I'll look in my. I kept trying to think. Why
So the
haven't I
parking-
gotten any information?
So parking advisory committee initial meeting was the subject. And went to JOANSTAYLOR50
That's it.
I just wanted it. Do you have a motion you want to make?
Yeah, I guess if we have already concluded our business, I'd like to motion.
I have stuff for the next meeting. So
Great,
Yeah,
I hear a
okay.
motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Great, meeting adjourned at 5:54. 3.
Yes.